And now we'll be moving on to our next speaker, who is Hamood Saleh Rashdi. Hamood is the graduate development program lead at PDO. He is a HR professional with an overall 10 years of experience with HR, talent management, learning and development in oil and gas sector. He's responsible of leading the graduate development program in PDO, and he's currently pursuing a PhD in management at SQU. He will be speaking about a case study at PDO.
Thank you so much, Amro. Assalamu alaikum. Can I ask everyone to stand up? Yeah. Stand up. Yes. Because my job will be a very challenging one. I'm between yourself and the lunch. So I'll try to make you a bit energized, but also give you some food for thoughts. In a very quick 1 minute, can you identify one skill that you mastered day in and out and share it with your colleague? If you don't have a colleague, share it with yourself. Very quickly, one skill that you can identify within a minute that you mastered day in, day out. Whether it's academic writing, learning and development, strategy. Excellent. Great. So thank you so much. You can have a seat. So my name is Hamood Rashdi. I'm the Graduate Development Program lead in Petroleum Development Oman. And it's a great pleasure actually to share with you at least one of the practice or a case study from PDO. Not necessarily the best practice, because there are lots of great practices within the market, whether it's locally or globally. And at least can add something as a food for thoughts. Maybe a very quick question. How many of you from the government sector? How many of you comes in from the private sector? How many of you comes in from the educational sector? Do we have any students? Okay. I'm also a student and at the same time working. Okay. So what I'll be sharing here, a glimpse of our graduate development program, because I'm a very strong believer that our young professionals, whether in PDO or outside PDO, deserve to have a great, what I would call learning experience. And it has been lots shared today, whether with our colleagues here or yesterday with our guest speakers, but I'll try to link the dots between what has been shared and with our case study. Next. Next. I'll give a bit of general perspective very quickly. This has been shared. I won't bore you with lots of statistics, figures, and reports, but I'll try to link what's happening globally, locally, within the GCC, and Oman as well. Next. If you can just click on until the full slide comes in. So globally, there is, been lots of talk about youth development, unemployment, generational differences, and how you can manage them within the workplace. عندك شباب وعندك شياب within the workplace. That's one of the challenges. But also how you can manage those young professionals from a learning and development, and how you can bridge that gap when they comes in from the university all over to get into the labor market. Within GCC or globally, there is an expected increase of graduates on the coming 10 years. And the countries that will be leading or producing lots of graduates are China and India, given the population. Within GCC, if we can see the representation of youth, quite a young representation, highest within the GCC country, also in Oman as well. And there is also that dilemma of unemployment and training for jobs still ongoing. If we look at the number of students getting into the academia on yearly basis, more than, I would expect, 30,000. Within oil and gas sector, around 80% plus engineers because of the nature of the business within oil and gas, and the rest are business, IT, etc. What I'm trying to say here is one thing. Next, is we try to look at what's happening globally, to look at what's happening regionally, but also planning for the future. We see those reskilling, upskilling, technology revolution. But the million-dollar question would be what we are doing about it. And that's a very key question. Next. Next. Case for change. Before I explain what is the Graduate Development Program, we'll try to link it with our vision in PDO. So in PDO, our vision is to be renowned and respected for the excellence of our people and the value that we create for Oman. Excellence of people, value that you create for Oman. And that has been there for quite long years. To be honest, I call it a manufacture of talent. مصنع المواهب. يعني they focus a lot on how they develop leaders, managers, but also the young professionals. Next. The case for change is the management has been discussing back in 2012-13 that we are moving into a direction that we will be having mega projects. راح تجي مشاريع ضخمة وكبيرة في المستقبل. But also we have to ensure that we have a talent stock healthier within the company. انت لما تجيك مشاريع كبيرة انت تحتاج مواهب، تحتاج resources to run your projects. You cannot embark in any project or any business without having a human resource in place. And the discussion was about how to ensure that we embark on projects, we embark on those latest technologies, enhanced oil recovery, etc., but also making sure that we have a talent stock in place that will run the business in the future. And there where the discussion starts, how we can have a common, structured, standardized graduate development program, because the young talents, those are the future leaders. Those are who are going to carry on and move the business forward. And that will make our company from a talent health point of view sustainable, but also you will ensure that you have enough feedstock for the future. And hence, the discussion started, okay, let's start to develop a program. Can you click next until the full slide comes in clearly? The second thing is, if we are recruiting young professionals, you need also to ensure that sustainability. بمعنى إنه أنا لما أوظف خريجين, when I recruit graduates, I need to ensure not only having the program, a fantastic program in place, but also making sure that my leaders, managers, supervisors are ready to provide all the support resources for our young graduates or professionals. And hence, there was a concept or discussion on how we can create a program that can reduce time to autonomy. Next. And then in 2013, a project team was formed in. They developed a whole graduate development program, and we moved, or we started the journey from there. طبعا, before 2013, there was a lot of here and there development programs for graduates. But 2013, more of a structure standardized across the company. Next. Next. Can you move to the next slide? Program overview, next. So the program overview, it's kind of a structured program in place. It's a competency-based program, and I'll show you a bit of a sample from there. It's a structured competency-based, so our graduates will have a list of competency, and there is a list of job tasks for each and every graduate, and you will follow that job tasks in order to close the competencies. Today, as we speak, we have a program for each and every discipline in PDO, whether technical or commercial graduates, HR, engineers, operation, reservoir engineers, you name it. So anyone who gets into the company, you have a very structured program in place and all the resources provided to you. They follow the, and normally who involved actually in the program, we have 3 categories of people get to be enrolled into the program. Fresh graduates who comes in from the market, اللي هم الخريجين الجدد من عدة تخصصات. The second category is PDO existing staff. طبعا عندنا احنا فنيين or technicians, operators who join the company as a diploma holder, and they do some technical work in the field. Later on they have completed their studies. كملوا دراستهم البكالوريوس على حسابهم الخاص, so at their own personal financing. And then the company started thinking, why don't we provide also opportunity for our internal staff? So that's, they go into a competition, very structured criteria, they get selected, they get enrolled into the program. So they follow a learning model which was already shared by Shada in the previous talk, a 70-20-10. So 70% of their time focusing, doing projects, tasks within the business. Next. Next. And 20%, they have a dedicated coach in place, helping them throughout their career. Mentoring, guiding, supporting throughout. But also the 20%, not necessarily from the coach or the mentor, they also learn from others. Collaborative working, teamwork, business learning, etc. And the 10% is mainly the classroom-based or self-online learning. And you have lots of resources to learn on the 10%. Next. Can you click again until the... So the structure of the program itself, we have the development framework. With development framework, mainly have got 3 elements. هذا البرنامج في 3 عوامل رئيسية. The first one is the competencies, the competency level, meaning you as an HR graduate, for example, joining the company, you have identified list of competencies that you need to fulfill. Let's say 10 competencies. The second element is, for me as a graduate or a young professional, to close those competencies, I need to do something. So we call it a job tasks. So you have a list of identified job tasks that helps you as a graduate to do in order to close those competencies. And the third element is a learning ladder or a learning programs. What type of learning programs, whether it's deep technical programs or soft skills or leadership, you name it, in order to fulfill the requirement to close those competencies. And the last thing is very important. When a graduate joins the company and discuss his plan for the upcoming 3 years, there is a document where we call it a development plan, and the graduates will sit with the relevant coach or supervisor to entail the plan itself. وبعدين يوقع, they sign the development agreement. إنه خلاص, the journey starts in from there. Next. Yes, so what type of... الحين الجراduates دخل الشركة وبدأ البرنامج, they started the program. But how to ensure that the graduates fulfill the competencies and learn throughout. كيف تعرف إنه الشخص نفسه أساساً تعلم, have gone through that learning. So they go through different type of assessment to make sure that the graduates have actually learned and have done the job and have got the competencies in order. خلاص بعد 3 سنوات he goes, hits the ground and running, fulfill all the requirements. So they go through different type of assessment, whether it's a panel assessment, one-to-one interviews, presentation delivered for an expertise. And the last one is some of our graduates go through a very professional exams because there is some certifications that they need to acquire internationally. Next. Next, some statistics and figures from so far we had almost more than 1,800 graduates have gone through the program. 77% of them are male, 23% are female. In fact, we are doing very well from a female perspective because that was highlighted as from Opal report back in 2019-18. Oil and gas is facing kind of a challenge on female representation. So we have embarked into 2 journey, I would say. From the graduate program, now we have female graduates in the field. In fact, those female are now handling a very senior role within the field itself. So recently we had a female leading more than 50 people within the field itself. We have an operation supervisor, etc. And the other journey that we have also embarked on, a technicians, operators, female representation as well in the field. We have more than 77 disciplines and programs for graduates into different disciplines. On a yearly basis, we enroll more than 200 graduates within the program itself. It's a very, very interesting structured program. Next. Those are list of stakeholders. طبعا the graduates, when they get in the company, they need to know whom to contact for certain support. So we have a corporate functional discipline head. من هذيل more solid technical people within different discipline. فمثلا في HR we have a corporate functional discipline head who really set the standards, the competencies, the assessment for graduates. We have discipline coaches. هذيل discipline coaches normally they provide coaching for the graduates from the technical perspective. Supervisor play role from an overall guidance, mentoring support. And also we have others who are learning solution advisor from L&D point of view who are providing all the learning courses for the graduates. فالمنظومة تقريبا متكاملة from people, from program, from a framework perspective. Next. Future focus. So we have built in a program in place, standardized, focusing mainly on the technical, little bit from the softer side. الحين الفocus is based on what? Based on some global trends. Based on what's happening in the market. بمعنى إن اليوم أنت عندك برنامج. Today you have a program. You want to enhance it. You want to improve it. You want to identify some common skills, competencies. You base it on what? You base it on what's happening around you. So what's happening within at least an oil and gas sector? There's a more focus toward renewable energies. الطاقة النظيفة, الطاقة المتجددة. That's the direction. Another thing, there is at national level also a talk and a direction about moving toward using some green hydrogen. And there's also a talk about the green economy as well. Gas emission, another also issue based on Paris Agreement 2050, reducing the net emission to 0. That's also one of the focus areas. Commercialization, oil and gas uncertainty when it comes to oil prices. That's also one of the I would say, not only future focus, but also the areas that you need to watch on always and all the time. So based on this, based on also different resources, which I'll mention later on, we started to think what kind of skills that need to be embedded into the program itself. Next. Next. Yeah. So already in the middle, we have already our programs for different functions. If you look at the left side, those are the areas that we started to look at. What kind of skills that we need to embed for our graduates can help them today, but also tomorrow. What kind of skills that you need to embed for your young professionals that they can take it with them, not necessarily for the business, but also for their day-to-day life. And if I can mention some of them, not also limited to this, is business acumen, future thinking, and some of them, they call it future mindset, future literacy, how you can actually inject that kind of mindset for a young professionals at an early stage in their career. Commercial mindset, the innovation mindset, how can they be creative, design thinking, critical thinking, all of these aspects, we started to look at them, HSE leadership, digital acumen, because of those technology that's revolutionized currently, lots of advancements, COVID hit us, lots of opportunities. Sustainability, I spoke about the green hydrogen, green economy, renewables. So sustainability becomes a very important area that can be injected for our young professionals from a mindset point of view. And last but not least is CI mindset, the continuous improvement, lean thinking, how you can improve in day-to-day business. That mindset is very, very important, not only for our young professionals, but all of us, to be honest. Knowledge management and behavioral economics. So these are mainly from a culture perspective point of view. If you move into the last side, which is on the right hand side, الحين انت حددت skills that need to be injected for your young professionals. We already identified the skills that required for our young professionals. But the most important thing is how you can provide it with a great learning experience. بمعنى اليوم أنا إذا أريد أجيب هذه الskills injected for our young professionals ما معناته إنه I bring them in a classroom, I teach them through slides, and that's it. How you can embed it for your graduates or young professionals using different kind of learning modalities to inject those areas on their mindset so they can leave with such a great experience. So we started to look at moving away from classroom-based training because that is not only fit for each and every training. You need to know exactly what kind of information that I need to deliver it to the young professionals, but what is the best learning modality fit that particular set of information. So looking at gamification, how you learn through games, VR, the virtual reality, augmented reality, VR, we are testing one of the programs on virtual reality. It's amazing. The experience that you go through it, it's kind of, it's an amazing experience. Augmented reality, learning through different platforms that can be interactive between the individual. And so we are moving into that space, testing it with different learning programs. If it did work, then you scale it up for all of them. If it didn't, then we moved in to identify what kind of the best learning modality fit that learning program. Next. So what are the sources that we based in our future focus? So we had different reports we looked at, whether the World Economic Forum or other learning reports. We have done and conducted, our colleagues in the External Affairs and Value Creation have conducted a very impressive report on how the fourth industrial revolution can impact PDO jobs and skills. And the last one is, this was a fantastic project, to be honest. And I was part of it, the Future of Work project. It took us a year and a half. So we did a Future of Work project. We identified 4 different scenarios. تقريبا استشرفنا المستقبل من 4 سيناريوهات. And we said, okay, if we are in this scenario 1, what would be the future look like if we are in scenario 2? Based on those scenarios, we identified different focus areas. قلنا طبعا إذا جلسنا في scenario 1, these are the outcomes, scenario 2, scenario 3. So scenario building exercise. Next, which is the last slide. With all what has been said, I always leave this message starting with myself, but also with anyone that I meet, honestly. As an individual, not only a young professional, each and every individual, whether you are in the education, private, government sector, and also leave this message for our kids. What is your skills briefcase? Are you ready? Because the train, if goes خلاص, إذا القطار راح. So we need to create that lifelong learning. التعلم ما يتوقف على طلبة وخريجين في الشركات وبروفيسور وأكاديمية. No, it doesn't stop that way. Lifelong learning goes until the last moment in your life. 2 days before I met a professor. He exceeded almost more than 60 years. And amazingly, he was reading different kind of researches about future learning, etc. And I was surprised. How come a professor at that level and still continuously learning about what's happening, reading? And he said, Hamood, come on. Learning doesn't stop anywhere. Because life is evolving. The market is also evolving. Lots of things happening around us. And you need to update your version. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hamood. That was Hamood, the Graduate Development Lead at PDO. And it was good to see how PDO has a 3-year, they think 3 years in advance once they hire a graduate as to what they want to achieve out of them and how they can use them after 3 years. So it'll be good to see how other organizations do the same. And also about learning, about the willingness to learn, also about self-learning. We can all learn something ourselves just by doing a bit of research on our own. It doesn't have to be in an official or formal way.